Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Site. We have another tournament preview. This time we're going over Bison Brawl. We're going to go over the scenarios, not scenarios, but the the player pack, and discuss some of the unique things about the event. And then we'll briefly go over my list. I will be playing Kingdoms of Men again, so the list is not going to change up too much from our previous event. If you've watched the Lady of the Lake videos, if you haven't, I would recommend going back and taking a peek at those. But let's go ahead and get into some of the unique rules for Bison Brawl. So in general, pretty standard. They do have a special bison character, so we'll be going over that here shortly. For the event, the terrain, a little slight difference. The buildings being height 7. So for my army, the one thing that kind of comes to mind with this is my generals on winged beasts could be sitting on a hill and they can see over buildings at that point. So don't usually see them that small in general, but something to be aware of for the event. Otherwise, they are using blackjack scoring for their scenarios. So 15, 10, 7, and then plus minus 4 for scenario, plus minus 3 for attrition. Pretty standard. The one thing they are adding in is an extra objective, or actually two objectives to the game that are unique just to your bison. So the bison each game will have two bonus objectives. If you complete one of the objectives, you get an additional victory point, and if you complete both the objectives, you get an additional 3 victory points. So those objectives are going to be pretty impactful. 3 points over 5 games. That's a potential of 15 points out of the 120 for battle. So again, pretty important. Definitely something we need to be aware of and conscious of while we're doing the game. So we have 120 possible points for battle. It does go on to list the sports stuff. Not going to bore you with that. And then they have a little bit of their paint rubric out here. So in total, 240 points possible. So the battle points 120, sports and paint each 60. So a 50, 25, 25 split. Pretty standard. Something similar to that is pretty common from what I've seen recently. Compare Lady of the Lake, I believe, had a 50, 30, 30 split. So theirs was a little bit different. Sports and paint were a little bit heavier weighted. But most tournaments have that battle weighted heavier than the other two categories. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the Bison character and what he's bringing. So the Bison is a large cav hero. He is also a spellcaster. So uh, fairly decent base stat line for the Bison. Although I've joked with other people, the Bison's actually bipolar and doesn't know what he wants to be, and he's changed this every game. So this stat line is a baseline, but it's going to get changed every game. So, but speed 7, melee 3, defense 5, height 4, unit strength 1, and 5 attacks. 14, 16, pretty standard. Only a thunderous charge 1, elite, so base elite and then vicious melee. So the elite, base elite will affect all of his spells that he has. So that is pretty impactful. So game 1, again, like I said, his stat changed. So his melee gets worse, his nerve gets worse, he does get regeneration, and he gets radiance of life. And then he becomes a healer. Heal 5, celestial recitation 2. And then our objectives for this one will be Bison. Your Bison heals more wounds than your opponent's Bison. Okay. And then the Bison needs to be in a combo charge with another character. It can be a counter charge. So I'm not actually sure. Character is not a normal keyword in Kings of War, so I'm not sure if they mean like another hero, or if you need. I think it's another hero. Well, I'm sure we'll get clarification on that for game one. But if it is another hero, that's quite easy for my army because I have 4 flying characters that can definitely get in charge with him. Between my 2 heroes on Peg and my 2 generals on Winged Beast. So, um, yeah. Anyway, also, clarification of heals more wounds. Technically, regeneration is a form of healing. Don't know if we count those wounds or not, but this is some stuff that we'll definitely need some clarification on. So, next, I don't know if game 3 is supposed to be. So, if these are backwards or if this is supposed to be game 2 and that's game 3. Either way, we don't know the scenarios, so it doesn't really matter. But in one of the games, you increase the defense of the Bison to 6. Changes nerve to dash 16. He gains regeneration 3 up and thunderous charge 2 instead of 1. And then he has the Drain Life 6 spell, but he can only heal himself. Okay, well, defense 6 healer. Anyway, damage your opponent's Bison with Drain Life from your Bison. This is going to be somewhat tough because we know their Bison is going to be defense 6. So on average, you get 3 hits. On average, you get 1 wound with the piercing one. But it's going to really suck if you go for a Drain Life and you fail to wound him and then you have to try and do it again the next turn. So it's just kind of annoying thing to have to do. And then if your Bison regenerates more wounds than your opponent's Bison. So with regen 3 up, dash 16, I'll probably keep the rally around him from the captain for dash 17. Yeah, hopefully I should be able to regen wounds, but then you have to hope that your opponent is going after him and doing damage to him. Um, I don't know. This seems kind of weird just in general. I'm probably going to ignore the opponent's Bison unless there's literally nothing else to do but one shot him. I mean, I do have 2 giants, so defense 6 on a large cav with the Slayer from the Giants. He can definitely be lunch meat. But yeah, these are just kind of unique secondary objectives. So, in the next one, you reduce his speed to 6 instead of 7. His defense goes down to 4. You increase his nerve this time by 1. He gains crushing strength. He then also has stealthy, dread, and aura spell ward. Okay. I mean, that's pretty good support type piece. He gains the spell weakness 3, and for this game, your goal is to keep the Bison alive at the end of the game and successfully cast weakness on your opponent's Bison. Again, somewhat difficult when your Bisons are spell warded, so yeah, it just seems like they kind of have they're going for a theme of kind of weird, out of the box, objective type stuff. So, and if that's their goal, I think they're definitely nailing it here. So, next game we increase the speed of our Bison to 8. He gains Ensnare. He gains Crush 1, Thunder 2, and he's inspiring this time. Mighty, which they, yeah, he's not even an individual, so Mighty doesn't matter. Inspiring and Slayer D6. So, yeah, I mean, pretty killy. And then they went ahead and put some cherries on top and gave him Alchemist Curse 4. Yeah, that's a lot of potential damage, especially when that Alchemist Curse 4 comes with Elite base. Yeah, I guess it's probably a good thing that a lot of my defense is low in my army. But this is the one that we need the Aura Spell Ward on, honestly. Like, Alchemist Curse 4, no thank you. Um, Charge the opponent's Bison with your Bison. This can be a counter charge. Cool. And then complete a solo charge while not disordered. So your Bison being speed 8, that should be pretty simple. You can even complete both of these if your opponent's Bison is within charge range. Just charge your Bison at their Bison. Two birds, one stone. And game 3, the Bison got Swole and has Crushing 3 now, along with his Thunder 1. He gets 7 attacks now. He has Fury and he has Vicious, which he had Vicious melee already. I guess the Vicious helps for this Fireball 10 that you gave him. Yeah, because he has Bane Chant 2 base all the time as well, and you gave him Bane Chant 3 this time. Unless I'm misunderstanding for some reason that these rules shouldn't be in there at all. But it's not very clear exactly what the case is. So anyway, I'm going to play it as the rules that were given up here are always in effect unless changed down here. So, your goal here is to kill your opponent's Bison in combat with your Bison, and then kill your opponent's unit with a Fireball from your Bison. So, kill a unit with Fireball and kill the opponent's Bison, but it has to be in combat. So we can't do both of these in one. Okay. So the Bison is going to be, like I said, all over the place. I'm sure rules are going to get forgotten, misunderstood. Yeah, it's a lot. There's rules all over the place with this one, and I'm not even sure what some of the intents are. So, definitely going to be clarifying before the game starts exactly how this is being played. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I think in general, cool idea, cool special character. A little crazy changing their abilities and their stat line, especially each round. I think that personally is a little annoying. I would rather you just give us an option of different types of bisons that we can play for all of the tournament. But um, yeah, we're gonna give this a try and see how it goes. So I should say as well, this is my first year I'm going to Bison Brawl. I've definitely wanted to go in the past, and unfortunately, just hasn't worked time wise for me. But I made a commitment this year to make sure I could be there, and it sounds like they have a full house. So I think they were playing out of a game store this year, and they capped it at 30 players, and I'm pretty sure there was a wait list even. So we should be at 30 players for the event, which is awesome. So that is all for the rule pack. Everything else is pretty standard, pretty basic. There's no allies in this one. They are allowing the withdraw, which I am probably not going to be saying anymore because that's just the way it is. Everybody's playing with the withdraw. Nobody wants it to go away. So, um, yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick peek over my list here. We do have the same pictures that I took last time, but I did make a little bit of a change here. So let's go ahead and take a quick peek. So, assuming that some people haven't seen this before, apologize if you have. We're just gonna skim over this pretty quickly, but we got a horde of pole arms. Yeah. Horde of pole arms with Indomitable Will. We have 2 Spear Phalanx with the Pikes upgrades. We have 2 Militia Mobs. We have a Horde of Bowmen with the Scrying Gem. And then the Beast Cav got cut. So we're taking just regular knights now. The one thing I did forget to mention is Bison Brawl is 2250 points instead of 2300. So I needed to drop 50 points from the other Kingdom's men lists anyway. It turns out the horde of Beast Cav that I was taking is exactly 50 points more than this regiment of knights. So that's the cut for sure. 100% of the time. I don't know if they're ever going to be invited back. Not a Beast Cav fan at this point. So yeah, we got a little bit more color in the army too with the blue knights. We got two ballistas, which again are being proxied with the cannons. We have two giants. We are continuing with the name of the list as Giant Failure. If I had Beast Cav, it would be Beast Cav's Failure. But then we have the captain. Again, recycled some pictures so that Knight Champion's not actually in there. I have a Bison that I'll be using. Good friend of mine, Drew Richardson. Shout out to him. He has been kind enough to provide me with a Bison model. One that he's 3D printed and painted up for me specifically. So I really appreciate him. Then we have two heroes on pegs and two generals on winged beasts. So again, very similar. The only change was drop the beast cav, added the knights. And I think it's going to be for the better. Not only are those knights less of a point sink, they do almost exactly the same amount of damage. They have one less nerve, but they have a higher threat range, being speed 8. So, all in all, I think it was a very fair trade, a better than fair trade when you consider that we're saving 50 points. So I don't know what we'll do for the 2,300 point list once we go back to one, but we'll figure it out eventually. For the meantime, this is the army that we're playing at Bison. I know that there's going to be a lot of guys from the south there, and then a lot of local Oklahoma guys playing. The only guys from Nebraska going are going to be me and one of my clubmates, Sean Vilmont. And then I'm not sure. I think the Wichita group's making it. But yeah, the majority or half at least, I think, are going to be Texas players. Um, so it should be a good time. Haven't seen I've seen a lot of those guys. Saw them at Lone Wolf, saw them at Masters. So, but haven't played against some of them in a while, and definitely look forward to that. Um, yeah, the more I think about it, maybe this is eventually the time that Mark Cox and I will actually play a game against each other. I feel like the only time we're in the same room is when I go to his tournament, he comes to mine, or maybe we're at Masters together some years. But that hasn't been the case for the past 2 years because I wasn't in this year's Masters. He didn't play in last year's, so we haven't gone to too many events where we've been able to play each other. So uh, definitely looking forward to that opportunity because great guy, definitely a good player. I think that the South has so many good players that he doesn't get enough credit for how good he is at the game. And I know that he recently won an event with his Northern Alliance, so I assume he's probably bringing those guys here. But we shall see. There's definitely other players that from the South that I want to play as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and it's kind of nice when not as many Omaha guys are showing up to event. It allows for a little bit more opportunity to play some of these other players that I don't get the opportunities to play against. So yeah, looking forward to it. I'm gonna have some fun. Uh, gonna be crashing with Drew Richardson. Was kind enough to allow me and Sean to crash with him. So trying to make it a pretty cheap event in general. So we're heading out Friday, and we should be there Friday evening. So more to come. We'll get some good pictures and hopefully some good battle reports. And in general, I think this is probably the last event for the Kingdoms of Ben for a short period. I'll likely pick up a different army in the next event that I have coming up after this. But I think that we did well with them at Lady of the Lake. Gonna take them to a completely different meta, different practically a different region. Going from the far north to the south of the country. So we'll see how they fare across the board here, and then yeah, we'll make our decisions after that. But I'm hoping for what we pulled off at Lady. I would be ecstatic if we could go 4-0-1. But realistically, I think that this army does have some bad matchups, and we will likely see some of those over the weekend. So more to come. I appreciate you all for watching, and I'll get the first video out after the weekend as soon as I can. So, appreciate you guys sticking around. We'll see you next time.